Welcome back. We are on section, what section is this? 2.4? I think it's 2.4. We are doing solving systems, but today we're going to work with word problems. And so as soon as I say word problems, I know a lot of you got all anxious and sad inside because it's way easier when I just give you numbers. But this is the real world. This is, it's not exactly perfect. You're not going to go in and do this all the time, but it is a skill you need to know. I know that in my real life job, I have done some systems and solving them this way before. And so this is something we want to figure out. The good news is the math I'm teaching you today is nothing. All the math I'm teaching you, you've already learned in your other sections. Today, all you're worried about is setup. And so more than anything else, that's what we're going to do. In fact, some of these we might not solve all the way, and we'll just worry about setup. So keep that in mind. It might seem scary, but all we're doing today is writing equations. There's no new math. It's just interpreting what's being given. So let's get to it. All right, so we can solve these with both elimination or substitution, as the notes say here. 4 steps to getting done what we want to get done today. Step 1 is we are going to identify the 2 things that we are trying to solve for. Okay, normally we can find that in the last sentence of the problem. We're going to make one of them equal to x and one of them equal to y. Then we're going to find the 2 totals in the problem and make that equal to it. And then finally, we're going to write the equations. And then the thing that's the least important would be then to solve them. That's what we're going to try to do here. Okay, do a few examples here with you, see if it makes sense, and we'll go from there. All right, let's read number 1. Tickets for the school musical are $5 for students and $8 for adults. On opening night, 1,050 tickets were sold and $6,450 were collected. How many tickets were sold to students and how many tickets were sold to adults? So at first read through, sometimes your brain just shuts down. Don't let it. Read it a couple times if you need to. I would always suggest as you go through, you highlight stuff. So how many tickets were sold to students? How many tickets were sold to adults? That was definitely the key to this problem. That's what we're looking for. All right. So our keys to this problem, the first thing we want to identify are the 2 things that we're solving for. And we're going to make one of them x and one of them y. We don't have to do x and y. In fact, you can pick any letter that you want. I often don't say x and y because I'd rather you have some meaning for them. And so let's try that here. But when I say x and y, I mean give them 2 letters. So the 2 things we're trying to find out is how many tickets were sold to students and sold to adults. So we're going to say students in this problem. The tickets for students is going to be equal to the letter S. I'm going to use a capital S because my handwriting's awful. And when we talk about the adult tickets, that's going to be the capital letter A. So students are S, adults are A. We have already done the first 2 things. We found out what 2 things we were trying to identify, and we made them equal to a letter. Next thing we're going to do is find the 2 totals in this problem. So as I read through it, looking for some totals. On opening night, 1,050 tickets were sold. That was a total number of tickets. All right, so let's do this. Equals 1,050 tickets. This equation right here. No, I can't spell tickets. That's not a hard word. I shouldn't struggle with that. 1,050 tickets is what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to write an equation right here that's only about tickets, and it's going to be equal to 1,050 in the end. Now I got to look for another total. Let's try to color code this and not use every color in the world without some meaning. $6,450 was collected. So I'm going to write another equation that's equal to $6,450. So that second equation is my money equation. I'm going to write an equation that only has to deal with money. And that's what I'm going to try to do. So we've almost done the whole thing. All we have to do is now write some equations. Well, what is going to add up to 1,050? That's the amount of tickets sold. Well, think about how am I going to get the tickets? To figure out how many tickets you have, all you have to do is count them. And so this equation is really simple. My equation to figure out how many tickets I sold, I'm going to take all the student tickets and I'm going to add to that all of the adult tickets. And when I take the amount of students plus the adults, that should add up to 1,050. So real simple. I'm just counting tickets, add them together. The second one is money. So that was a little bit different. So let's look back in this problem to find anything about money. Well, the tickets were $5 for students and $8 for adults. So let's think about that. I need to write an equation. We're going to take $5 times every student. Yep, my 5's and S's look very similar. So $5 times every student. So basically every student has to pay $5 plus every adult is going to have to pay $8. 5S plus 8A is going to be equal to 6,450. Boom. That's my answer there. That's my two equations. And that's all we're doing today. At this point, you know how to do this. We're just going to solve. So we can either use substitution or elimination, and we're going to work through it. I'm going to do this first one, but I'm not going to do a bunch of these. Okay? Well, I want to get rid of a letter. I can get rid of S's or A's. I can do substitution. I like elimination better, so I'm going to do elimination. This is 5S. So could I multiply this by something to get the opposite of 5S, which would be negative 5S? Sure. Oh, man, my handwriting. Oh, that's still ugly. Yeah, whatever. You get the point. We're going to take this equation and multiply it by negative 5. That would get me negative 5S minus 5A equals negative 5 times 1,050. Negative 5,250. If you don't believe me, calculator it out, but I'm pretty decent there. We're going to put these together. So the S's are going to cancel like I wanted them to. 8A minus 5A is going to get me 3A, which basically represents that $3 more per adult. And then 6,450 minus 5,250, that's going to get me 1,200. Great, 3 adults equals 1,200. We are then going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. A equals 400. If I want to solve for S, I'm going to take that 400 and plug it back in. If I take 400 and plug it right there, 400 plus what is going to get me 1,050? Hopefully you know that that is 650. If you don't believe me, you can solve it. But boom, there's my answer. How many adults bought tickets? 400 adults, 650 students. If you plug it into both equations, it'll work. We got our answer. So again, think about what we did. We identified what two things did we have to find? Well, students and adults. We found our two totals and made them equal to each other. We added the students plus adults to get us tickets. We multiplied students and adults times the money to get us money. And then we did elimination just like we've done on everyone. Good there. Let's try it again. An exam worth 145 points contains 50 questions. Okay, so it's worth 145 points. It contains 50 questions. The true-false questions are worth 2 points each. True-false are 2 points. And the multiple-choice questions are worth 5 points. How many true-false questions on the test? How many multiple-choice questions are on the test? First thing we're doing is identifying what are we trying to solve for? What two things? Well, hopefully you see true-false questions, multiple-choice questions. So let's label those. So I'm going to say T equals true, false questions. You can use whatever you want. And in fact, I don't like the letter T. I'm just going to call it X. Just to make my life easier and for me not to get confused, I'm just going to call it X. You saw last question, my handwriting's awful. Y equals my other one, which is going to be multiple choice questions. I've labeled my two things. Those are the two things I'm looking for. Next thing I'm doing is I'm looking for totals. So as I look through this problem, what totals did I have? Well, the exam is worth a total of 145 points. So that is one total, 145 points. I'm looking for anything in this question that deals with points here in a second. Then we're going to write a second equation that looks with our other total, and the other total they told us here was 50 questions. All right, good to know. 145 points, 50 questions. Let's go from there. Points, 145. So I want to look up anything in this problem that has to do with points. So as we read through that, we said true false questions are worth 2 points. So we're going to take 2 times every true and false question, which we said was letter X. And the multiple choice questions are worth 5 points. So 5 times Y, because multiple choice questions are the letter Y. And when I add those two together, it's going to get me the total amount of points. Then we're doing questions, 50 questions here. Well, what's going to get me the amount of questions? That one's easy. Take the amount of true-false questions plus the amount of multiple choice questions. You add those together, it should get you 50. Boom. And I'm done. That's all we learned today is we got those two equations. We identified the two things that I wanted. Once I've identified them, I found the two totals, and then I wrote a simple equation that was going to get me there. Then from here, we can just do elimination and work from there. So I've got this top equation, 2x plus 5y equals 145. I'm going to multiply this equation right here by -2, because if I multiply it by -2, it's going to cancel out my x's. -2 times 50 is -100. -100. Put them together. X's cancel. 3y equals 45. So y is 15. And if there are a total of 50 questions and 15 of them are multiple choice, because the y stands for multiple choice, then we know the other 35 have to be the true-false questions. So 15 multiple choice questions and 35 true-false questions. Boom, did it. Again, the last part's easy. I'm worried way more about the setup. I'm going to give you one more just because that way we can make sure we see what's happening here. This one looks pretty similar. Number 4 is pretty similar. Let's go to number 5. You have 24 coins in your pocket that are worth 450 cents. How many coins are quarters? How many coins are dimes? So again, we go through, we identify what two things we're looking for, quarters and dimes. So let's give those a letter. Q equals quarters. D equals dimes. We identified our two things. We're looking for some totals. 24 coins. Boom. So my top equation is all about coins. I'm going to write a second equation. My second equation is going to be all about, what's my other total? 450 cents. Sorry, I watch too many of my kids' shows. I'm expecting you to say the answer out loud just like they do. All right, good. 450 cents. So that's the total amount. So how am I going to figure out how many coins I have? Well, to do that, it's real simple. I'm going to take the amount of quarters plus the amount of dimes and add them together, and it better get me 24. How do I find the amount of money? Well, I'm going to take each quarter and multiply it by how much a quarter is worth, which is 25 cents, plus each dime and multiply it by 10. You guessed it. And then we solve by elimination. That's it. Solve by elimination. I'm not even going to do it. You can do that. I lied to you. Let's do another one. A wedding caterer charges $15 per child and $28 per adult for a meal. The happy couple is inviting 255 people and pays the caterer $6,425. Food is expensive. How many children and how many adults attended the couple's wedding reception? So we're looking for totals. Hopefully you see that total, or the two things we're looking for, children and adults. So children is going to be C. A is going to be adults. We're looking for totals. What totals do we have? Well, I got a total right here, 255 people. And my other total is the money, $6,425. Top equation, we're trying to figure out how do we get the amount of people. That one's pretty easy to find the amount of people. All you got to do is add. You take the amount of children plus the amount of adults, and when you add those two together, you should get 255. The second one, we're thinking about money. So to get the amount of money, it is each child times 15. That old per right there normally means multiply. 15 per child plus 28 per adult. Boom, put those together. That's going to get me my answers here. We do elimination. We go from there. Hope that makes sense. I think that's enough examples. I'm just getting repetitive. If you got questions, as always, try the quizzes that I added as well. But you can ask me, and I'll see what I can do. Good luck.